Chapter 1171, Safety Route. Although Israel was infuriated by Lu Shu, she did not finish the mutton but instead, left more than half behind. She asked Lu Shu, "Don't you need to eat?" "I am not hungry," said Lu Shu, "leave it for later." "It's better to save some for later as I am not sure how much longer it would take for the remains to end." "How much longer do you think it will take?" asked Israel. "Would you believe what I say?" asked Lu Shu. "I will believe whatever you say," affirmed Israel. "1 month's time," said Lu Shu as he sighed. Actually, he felt that the determining factor depended on when he was able to find the core and secret of the remains. This remains was too special. Others might not be able to end it. Even Lu Xiaoyu, who had 2 masters with her, was unable to end it. The reason for the deduction was simple. The remains were prepared for Lu Shu. The doer should undo what he had done. The person who buried the remains had probably surpassed the master realm. Therefore, a master could not do anything he wanted when he entered. Disregarding the secret of the remains, simply the possibility that creatures of the master realm could exist in the remains was sufficient to make Lu Shu wary. Did the sleeping tortoise reach the master realm? Lu Shu thought that it probably did. The remains were like a Pandora's box. If the creatures were released, it would be a disaster for the Earth and the universe. So here came the question, who exactly had the capability to secretly bury this potentially catastrophic tool? Lu Shu had an answer to that question, but he was not sure. Israel, on the other hand, did not know. The 9th heavenly king whom she wanted to interview was beside her. The next morning, Lu Shu came out of the tent. When the other practitioners in the campsite saw Israel, who followed behind Lu Shu, they greeted Lu Shu with a look that treated Lu Shu as one of themselves. To them, Lu Shu was in the same boat as them. In fact, every practitioner was afraid that they would be criticized after they left. After all, the campsite symbolized the regression of humankind. However, they were unwilling to give up the benefits and enjoyment they had. Therefore, it would be good if they could pull more people onto their boat. In fact, many people were thinking if they could make use of such a lifestyle to promote the service for practitioners by controlling ordinary people. Did people not used to keep slaves? Perhaps they could obtain such a skill too? To many practitioners, they desired to have the skill to control ordinary people. The leader stood in the middle of the campsite, giving instructions for ordinary people to build the wall, in an attempt to build a small fortress. Actually, they were building it to prevent the campsite from being discovered by the creatures, as well as to prevent ordinary people from entering or leaving. They hoped to control the entire campsite. Meanwhile, the ordinary people, including the women who were not chosen, began to work willingly as that was the only way to get food. Now, there were more ordinary people than practitioners. In such a situation, the practitioners became scarce materials. Lu Shu did not bother about this. He asked the leader curiously, "What exactly is the secret of the remains?" At this moment, the sentence that Lu Shu was thinking about was, "You better **king reply to me quickly, or else you may die." However, the leader smiled mysteriously. "You will know if you follow us for a hunt today." Lu Shu thought, why are the highest ranking rank 2 candidates hunting? What do they want to hunt for? In the morning, only about 10 practitioners were left behind to look after the campsite while the rest packed up and headed out. Lu Shu realized that amongst other things, the practitioners had to bring their food with them. They were very afraid that all their food and tents would be stolen by others after they returned from their hunt. Although there was a basic order in the campsite, there was no basic trust. Lu Shu did a brief calculation and found that there were only about 70 practitioners in the campsite who had dissimilar capabilities. There were over 200 ordinary people who did not have self-defense capabilities. Amongst all the practitioners, only Lu Shu went empty-handed. Israel hesitated for a long time and finally secretly passed Lu Shu the remaining cube of mutton. "You are going out to hunt, bring some food to fuel your body." Lu Shu smiled. It's all right, there's a lot of food outside. After a long time, Israel finally understood Lu Shu's intention. Why did he treat all the creatures outside as food? Did he know that he was in the remains? From Israel Moore's Distress, plus 666. At this moment, someone shouted, "Move." Lu Shu left without looking back. Israel stood behind him and hesitated for a long time. She realized that she was suddenly worried for Lu Shu. What if he met danger outside? However, thinking about Lu Shu's attitude, Israel was very certain that Lu Shu was completely not interested in herself. Some men purposely acted proud in front of her but were playing hard to get. However, Israel knew that Lu Shu was not playing hard to get, he only had her check in mind. At this moment, Israel suddenly thought, Lu Shu said that the person he liked was prettier than her, he must be boasting. Lu Shu followed behind the group of practitioners. The leader led them to an unknown location as though he was very familiar with the route. Along the way, there were odd-looking stones and the sand-colored scenery made it look as though they were walking in the desert. At this moment, the leader came behind the team and smiled to Lu Shu. "You are a newcomer, what do you feel about our campsite?" Lu Shu thought that the leader indeed appealed to everyone. In order to gain the heart of him, a low-rank practitioner, he was able to treat him warmly. Lu Shu asked curiously, "Where does this road lead to? Would there be danger?" "Rest assured, we have explored this place for 3 days, and there has never been a creature." As the leader spoke, they suddenly heard a roar from a distance. The leader thought as he saw the wave of sand from afar, "I jinxed myself." Meanwhile, Lu Shu felt even more desperate. He knew what was coming. A herd of wild cows dashed over and the practitioners scurried in fear. However, before they could take a few steps, they were caught. The herd of cows looked at Lu Shu who was in the middle of the crowd. "Is there no lightning for us to eat today? If not, we will come over and ask you again tomorrow." Chapter 1172, Biting Back. The leader turned back and saw the herd of cows. He was dumbfounded. His survival instincts forced him to get rid of any unnecessary actions. He subconsciously lay on the floor and played dead. It would be very dangerous for him to lay on the floor, as the herd of cows would be able to trample him. But he could not outrun them, nor could he defeat them. He had never seen such animals. He could only pray that they did not eat humans. The leader was uncomfortable. He had shown off by saying that this path was safer. He had almost thumped his chest as he promised. His words had come back to bite him very quickly. The cows were enormous and tall. To people of the earth, a cow that was 2 stories tall was like a black tower. Its presence alone could cause them to suffocate. There was lightning inside the cows' stomachs. Occasional flashes could be seen on the surface of the stomach. The secret practitioners, who had been exuding a commanding presence in front of the ordinary people, either grabbed their heads and squatted down, or lay down and played dead. It was as if the cows would not be able to see them. The people near the cows could even feel the loud and warm breath of the cows. They even felt slightly numb, as if they had been electrocuted. How much had they evolved to reach this power? No one dared to test how strong these cows were. But they did not see the gazes that the herd of cows exchanged with Lu Shu. Lu Shu was the most dumbfounded. He did not expect these cows to be able to find him every day. He did not expect them to ask him whether there would be any lightning either. It was like when he was at home. Every day, Lu Xiaoyu would ask him whether there was any stir-fried tomato and scrambled eggs. What in the world? Chen Zuan and Cheng Qiuqiao could fly too. Why did they not find them instead? Lu Shu suddenly realized a problem. He looked at them. "Have you seen any other humans who cause lightning when they fly?" The cows looked at him. "Only you. Hurry up." Lu Shu returned a look. "It's inconvenient today. Maybe next time." The cows were slightly disappointed. Sure. They exchanged glances without any difficulty. Their thoughts were transmitted to each other like voices. Lu Shu sighed with relief. He had finally chased the cows away. Then, the herd of cows turned and ran off. They disappeared very quickly. There was the occasional sound of thunder from their stomachs. What kinds of cows were these? For some reason, Lu Shu felt that they occupied a high position in the remains. They could come and go as they wished. But Lu Shu also received a piece of information. Chen Zuan, Lu Xiaoyu, Coral, Chang Qiuqiao, and the rest might not have been sent into this forbidden land. They were outside the forbidden land. What would a rank 1 expert do after coming into the remains? Go to a high place and look around. Ordinary people would have to climb in order to see more, but rank 1 experts could simply fly into the sky. Thus, to these cows, he was the only human who could fly in the forbidden land. This meant that Lu Shu's assumption that there was an area of the remains outside the forbidden land was true. Lu Xiaoyu and the rest were in that area. Lu Shu heaved a sigh of relief. After all, the information he had obtained from the skeleton was that it was safer outside. Suddenly, Lu Shu thought of something. Could he befriend this herd of cows and follow them around? Perhaps the native creatures would know even more secrets about the remains. But Lu Shu was not in a rush. He knew that the herd of cows would find him tomorrow. Lu Shu was very sure of this. The thunderous sound of the cows leaving caused the secret practitioners to feel as if they had a new lease of life. They got up and watched the cows leave. One of them asked, "Did they leave just like that?" Everyone had been playing dead. They did not even dare to open their eyes. Thus, they did not know what had happened. The leader was the most fearful. As he watched the cows, he thought, what in the world? Had they come just to slap him in the face? The leader could not think of another possibility. To him, the herd of cows had come to humiliate him. From Antil Stewart's distress, plus 999. Lu Shu was amused. The herd of cows had come because of him. Thus, the distress points that the 70 secret practitioners had produced all belonged to him. Lu Shu thought about it. When would the herd of cows come tomorrow? The herd of cows seemed rather kind. He might be able to blend in with them. Lu Shu turned back and saw the female practitioner who had been solicitous towards him. She was staring at Lu Shu. He realized that she had seen the herd of cows. The herd of cows had come uninvited yesterday afternoon. The only people who had seen this were the people on Israel's helicopter. They had talked about this before. The herd of cows had come again. The female practitioner was not foolish. She immediately associated it with Lu Shu. Lu Shu smiled at her, but did not say anything. As they continued to advance, the female practitioner suddenly came to Lu Shu. She softly said, "I know that they are here for you. Am I right?" Lu Shu declined to comment. He asked, "What do you think the secret of the remains they have been talking about is?" The female practitioner panicked. "I know that you don't trust me, but I only want protection. If you are willing to protect me, I will keep my mouth shut. You can do whatever you want to do with me. Although Israel is good-looking, she will definitely not serve others." Lu Shu thought about it and said, "You are not in as much danger as you think you are. This foreign place has simply made you feel unsafe, so you desperately need someone to protect you. Don't panic. Learn how to face danger correctly. Females have to love themselves more. On the one hand, I have rejected you because I cannot wait until the remains end. On the other hand, you are not very good-looking either." The female practitioner said, "Do you think I am dirty? I am a virgin. I am very clean." Lu Shu was unhappy. "If you Virgos are clean, then am I dirty as a Sagittarius?" The female practitioner was dumbfounded. Were they talking about the same thing? Could they have a proper conversation? Why had the conversation become so infuriating? Lu Shu was thinking about it. He had always celebrated his birthday on the 12th of December. It was when he was sent to the orphanage. More accurately, he did not know his horoscope. He did not know his date of birth either. The female practitioner was silent. Then, she said, "You are different from them." Indeed. Lu Shu cheerily nodded his head. "You have never touched Israel, right?" The female practitioner asked. Lu Shu was puzzled. He looked at the female practitioner. "No." "Why?" The female practitioner said with disdain, "Humph. And you say that you're a Sagittarius." Lu Shu was dumbfounded. Chapter 1173, Barrier of the Forbidden Land. Lu Shu was not actually a Sagittarius, but he was unhappy with what the female practitioner had said. He thought that this female practitioner would reveal secrets from other practitioner in exchange for resources, but she did not do so. She had more morals than he had expected. In reality, whether someone had morals had nothing to do with how dangerous their situation was. This was something that Lu Shu admitted he was wrong about. Lu Shu despised the poor attitude the two cameramen had shown last night. He preferred this magnanimous female practitioner. The leader did not speak to Lu Shu. He was embarrassed. He had said that this route was very safe, but a herd of cows had come. He was worried that if he said something else, another strange thing would appear. After the practitioners encountered the herd of cows, they wanted to go back. They had not recovered from their shock. But if they did not hunt, what would they eat? They had run out of antelope meat. They had shared their rations with the ordinary people as well in order to maintain their superiority and order. Everyone had to find a way out. If not, they could only slowly wait for death in the campsite. Lu Shu followed behind the group and observed their surroundings. The road they were walking on became more and more rugged. This was not a hill. It had not been eroded by the wind either. The ground in the remains had taken on a strange form after being distorted by energy. It seemed both frighteningly and mysteriously vast. The leader suddenly crouched. The female practitioner softly said to Lu Shu, "Yesterday, I asked them. They had found a strange place where creatures commit suicide. On the first day, they picked up 3 bodies of dead animals who had committed suicide. Thus, they felt that they had discovered the secret of this place." Lu Shu was dumbfounded. Why did they commit suicide? "I don't know," said the female practitioner. They slowly crawled on the ground and advanced, as if they were afraid of being discovered. Then, a giant white serpent appeared and slithered towards Lu Shu and the rest. Its enormous body left massive marks on the ground. It was as if it had created a river. The giant serpent was as large as a train. Lu Shu had goosebumps looking at it. When the white scales of the serpent rubbed against one another, there was a crashing sound. This was probably the largest creature Lu Shu had seen in his life, other than that giant tortoise. Lu Shu could feel the power of natural laws from its body. With this power, even if it was not of the master realm, it was probably close. Lu Shu had only heard of such white serpents in the legend of the white snake, but there were no celestial beings here. It was a pity that they were overseas. No one understood his reference. Thus, he felt somewhat lonely. At that moment, the secret practitioners held their breath in shock. What would happen if such creatures were released on Earth? How many of such creatures were there in the remains? The serpent advanced forwards. Suddenly, white lightning appeared in front of it. It blocked the serpent, preventing it from advancing. The lightning covered the sky. Lu Shu was puzzled. Was this the barrier of the Forbidden Land? After he had learned about the barrier of the Forbidden Land from Lu Kongming, he had been thinking about how to find it. He would only be able to find a way out if he did so. They had encountered the barrier, but Lu Shu did not think that escaping would be that simple. It seemed as if the giant serpent did not accept this fact. It slammed into the barrier. Its white scales seemed to have been scorched by the electric net, but it could not go through. Lu Shu now understood why the female practitioner said that creatures had committed suicide. There was no difference between this and committing suicide. But when Lu Shu thought that the giant serpent was about to die, there was the thunderous sound of galloping in the distance. Lu Shu was dumbfounded. He was all too familiar with this sound. It was the herd of cows who ate lightning. The white serpent had also heard this. It did not even turn back. It went back into the hole it had appeared from. Its white scales were badly damaged. It had suffered severe injuries. Lu Shu suddenly had a realization. The barrier existed to keep out strong creatures like this white serpent. They were imprisoned here, preventing them from causing trouble. But creatures like the white serpent were intelligent. How could they be willing to wait for thousands of years in this bleak and desolate place? Thus, this had happened. The herd of cows ran towards the barrier. Lu Shu almost laughed out loud. They were too late. There was no more lightning. Wait. No. Lu Shu suddenly thought of something. The cows were the natural enemies of lightning. Could they eat the lightning barrier? But at that moment, Lu Shu suddenly saw the herd of cows stop in front of the barrier. There was the loud sound of thunder from their stomachs. It was as if the heaven and the earth were shaking. The cows opened their mouths and spat out the lightning in their stomachs. They started to make up for the lightning that the white serpent had used up. Lu Shu had thought that the cows were stuck in the Forbidden Land. Now, he realized that the cows were the guardians of the Forbidden Land. While others exerted great physical strength to exhaust the lightning barrier, the cows quickly ran over to make up for the exhausted lightning. It would be strange if someone was able to escape. They ate lightning to replenish the barrier. Were they walking portable batteries? Lu Shu felt that he absolutely could not feed the cows with lightning. He was still stuck here. The more the cows ate lightning, the stronger the barrier would become. No wonder the white serpent ran away when it heard the sound of the cows approaching. It was afraid of them. Luckily, Lu Shu had not taken any action. To be honest, he felt that it would take a lot of work to deal with the white serpent. These creatures would create a lot of chaos, regardless of whether they were on Earth or in the Universe, but they had been thrown in here. Lu Shu, Nia Ting, and the rest had thought about it. Whoever was able to obtain the relic would control the entire remains. He could not enter the door in the Seal of Lands, but this did not mean that he would never be able to do so. Now, whoever was able to control the remains would control the switch to destroy the world. If the owner of the relic was willing to do so, the moment the creatures in the remains were released, no matter whether it was the universe or the Earth, civilization would be attacked. It would be a true human catastrophe. There were masters among humans, but there were masters here too. What Lu Shu had seen was simply the tip of the iceberg. What other frightening things existed here? Wait. Who was the owner of this herd of cows? Were they able to make the cows listen to their commands? Chapter 1174, Run Out of Provisions. Lu Shu thought that someone had definitely released this herd of cows here. They had received orders as well. If the other creatures in the remains were prisoners, then these cows were prison wardens. The leader among the secret practitioners was dumbfounded. Was this the herd of cows that had come to visit them? Were they so ferocious? Earlier, they had encountered creatures who had slammed into their deaths, but they were probably too weak. The lightning barrier had not been exhausted. Thus, the herd of cows had not appeared. Thus, the leader and the rest thought that they had discovered the secret of the remains. They could occasionally come and pick up the dead bodies of the creatures. They were fresh and delicious. They could even restore their strength. This misconception made the leader feel that it was not that difficult to survive in the remains. At least, they were able to continue living. But today's events shocked him. He now understood that humans were the weak ones in the remains. These creatures were ancient beasts. Someone softly asked, "What do we do now?" His voice trembled as he spoke. "Let's return to the campsite." The leader panicked as well. After he advanced to rank 2, he was part of the upper class in the cultivation realm. Many people had to politely greet him when they saw him. But when he saw the white serpent and the herd of cows that fed on lightning, humans were insignificant. "Did someone capture these creatures?" Someone asked softly. "If that was the case, then I am grateful for them. If these creatures were on Earth, what would Earth be like now?" The leader sighed with emotion. The entire group returned empty-handed. On the way back, they did not even have the time to think about what they would do without any food. Their heads were filled with the concern on whether they would be able to survive in this dangerous place. On the way back, the female practitioner came to Lu Shu and softly asked, "Why does the herd of cows keep looking for you? Who in the world are you?" Lu Shu cheerily shook his head. "I don't know either." He was not panicking. After all, compared to the other practitioners or ordinary people, his ability to protect himself did not worry him to the extent that he could not sleep. "I know that you don't want to tell me. But relax. I will not tell the others," promised the female practitioner. Lu Shu looked at her. Suddenly, he laughed. "Thank you." As Lu Shu spoke, he shoved 2 pieces of hardtack into her pocket. She did not see where Lu Shu had taken the food out from, but she did not hesitate. She quickly pushed the hardtacks deep into her pocket. She knew that when there was a lack of food, having food was very frightening to a low-leveled practitioner. Lu Shu had given her the hardtacks to repay her for her compassion, even if Lu Shu did not need it. There was a saying in China. As long as everyone showed love, the world would become more pleasant. Suddenly, the female practitioner said, "Be careful. I won't say anything, but I can't say the same for the rest." Lu Shu laughed cheerily. "Yes, I know." Then, Lu Shu gave her 2 more hardtacks. The female practitioner was dumbfounded. What was this? Were you a vending machine? Every sentence of concern gave her 2 hardtacks. The female practitioner tried something. "You are very handsome." "Ha! Ha! Ha!" "Is that so?" Lu Shu beamed with joy. He gave the female practitioner another 4 hardtacks. The female practitioner tried again. "You are the most handsome person on Earth." Lu Shu said with a sense of justice, "There is always someone better than me. You cannot be so absolute. Add a 1 of I dot. Oh. You are one of the most handsome people on Earth." The female practitioner rephrased herself. She felt that he was rather modest. Then, she looked on helplessly as Lu Shu gave her another 6 hardtacks. To be honest, Lu Shu had thousands of this in the Seal of Lands. The female practitioner kept quiet. Lu Shu was dumbfounded. "Continue. Why did you stop?" As Lu Shu spoke, he was about to take out more hardtacks. The female practitioner laughed bitterly. "My pocket can't fit anymore." Her pocket was full. If not, it would not take much for her to praise him. If she tried to fit more things into her pocket, others would realize that there was something wrong. Thankfully, she was wearing a tracksuit. If not, it would have been obvious with just 2 pieces. The female practitioner looked at Lu Shu. She had never realized that Lu Shu had so many things. Where did these hardtacks come from? Suddenly, the female practitioner realized that Lu Shu was someone who possessed invisible storage equipment. If not, where did these hardtacks come from? Less than 100 people in the cultivation realm had invisible storage equipment. They were all at the top of the food chain in the cultivation realm. They were the true experts. A praise could be traded for food. This was equivalent to obtaining a way out. The female practitioner had never experienced such relaxing remains. She was able to obtain a chance of surviving with just one sentence. Compared to the other practitioners, she was very lucky. So the true expert had been by her side all this time. She was thankful that she had received good karma. If not, she would have to worry about what to eat at night. There was practically no more food in the campsite. But she knew that Lu Shu would not remain in the campsite for long. The campsite could not contain Lu Shu. After they returned to the campsite, everyone sat by the bonfire with a worried look on their faces. They were thinking of a way out. They could no longer rely on their secret to survival. They might die the next time they went there. What would they do now? The ordinary people could immediately tell that they had not been successful with their hunt. They did not dare to ask any questions. Israel came to Lu Shu and softly asked, "What's wrong? Did you fail? Are you hungry? I still have some mutton. You can eat it." Lu Shu looked at her and smiled. "Why are you worried about me? You should eat it. Furthermore, there is no more food in the campsite. Someone might be eyeing your uneaten mutton." This scared Israel. She hurried back to her campsite and secretly ate her mutton. Israel was an ordinary person. What she had to do was to leave this dangerous place. Some people in the campsite had started to discuss their escape plan. They even talked about the herd of cows. Lu Shu saw the two cameramen approach the leader. They were secretly talking about something. Israel saw this as well. She furrowed her eyebrows and said, "What are they talking about?" Lu Shu laughed. "They are probably talking about how to die." Israel was dumbfounded. She sensed the massive confidence from this young man. She had seen the same calmness while interviewing many established people in power. Chapter 1175, Mysterious Guest. The leader and the two cameramen were gossiping. Although the few of them were deliberately hiding something, Lu Shu could tell that they were glancing over at him occasionally. They were trying to deceive themselves and did not have the special training to escape from a rank one's intuitions. Therefore, no matter how prudent they were when they peeked at Lu Shu, they were still discovered by him. Perhaps, both the leader and the cameraman did not know who they were trying to prey on. Lu Shu was waiting for them to signal for help. However, the leader patted the two cameramen's shoulders and left after giving both of them a small piece of dry rations. The two cameramen were not satisfied with that reward and wanted to fight for more. However, after they started complaining, the leader took the dry rations away from them. That was really unfortunate. Lu Shu felt sorry for the two cameramen. They had done their best, but did not receive anything. Actually, this was the usual ending for most greedy people like them, as they would get sabotaged by their own greed. However, what surprised Lu Shu was the fact that after chasing the two cameramen away, the leader did not directly head over to look for Lu Shu. Instead, he gathered everyone and asked for a meeting. "A meeting, what for?" someone asked. "Right now, our campsite has to make a choice involving life and death. We need everyone to gather to discuss some matters," said the leader. Lu Shu pouted. He saw the leader secretly talking to some of his followers. He must have had some ideas. He claimed that he wanted everyone to make a decision together. However, in reality, he would probably head in the direction with that group of individuals. A group of them sat beside the bonfire with the practitioners in the center and ordinary people in the outer circle. Suddenly, the hierarchy of the campsite was shown. Ordinary people did not even have the position to take a seat. The leader suddenly said as he stood in the middle of the circle, "You guys have probably heard. There's not much food left in our campsite. Moreover, the hunting method we used in the past is obsolete, so we need to discuss a new measure to tackle this problem." Lu Shu almost laughed out loud upon hearing that. They had the guts to claim that they went for a hunt, although they were simply taking advantage of others. "From today onwards," said the leader, "all the food shall be given to the practitioners first. All the resources shall be distributed evenly. This is in order to ensure the survival of the campsite. Does anyone have any objections? The campsite was silent. As the beneficiaries, the practitioners did not have any objections. On the other hand, the ordinary people were afraid to comment. At this moment, the leader looked at Lu Shu. Do you have any objections? Lu Shu was stunned for a moment. He kept silent for a few seconds before replying, Do we have food? The leader said. No. From Anthill Stewart's distress, plus 666. Then what's the point of our discussion, said Lu Shu. All right, let's go on to the next topic, interrupted the leader. He could not allow Lu Shu to continue or nothing could be accomplished. The leader changed the topic and asked Lu Shu, How do you think we should look for a way out? Lu Shu thought, this brat could not hold it in any longer. However, he was much more straightforward than Lu Shu thought he would be. Since the start, Lu Shu knew that the leader did not have any good intentions. However, he thought that since they were holding a meeting, they would have to wait till the end to see his true colors. Were the meetings in China not all the same? Start off by putting on a show and saying the important things casually in the end. Everyone tried to hide their opinions and did not want others to know their true intentions. At the end of the day, everyone was just putting on a show. However, the style here was different from China's. It was straight to the point. After seeing Lu Shu keeping silent, the leader signaled to his followers. Many people around the bonfire stared unkindly at Lu Shu. A follower stood up and said to Lu Shu, We are asking you a question, do you still want to be protected in the campsite? If not, get out. The female practitioner beside him wanted to laugh. Why would an expert who had the invisible storage equipment need the campsite's protection? Clearly not. Then, at this moment, footsteps were heard outside the campsite. Everyone stared in horror into the dark. The bonfire could only light up a limited region around it so they could not see the person's features clearly. However, his footsteps were heavy and it painted an image of a strong man in everyone's minds immediately. Lu Shu frowned too. Nobody would dare to randomly run around in the remains at night, so who was it? Could there be other experts hiding in Yellowstone National Park? Or the creatures from the remains? The figure in the dark gradually appeared. Everyone was stunned. It was a handsome young man with a good figure. The reason behind the heavy footsteps was because he was lugging a huge bear on his shoulders. The bear was a few times bigger than the young man. Therefore, the contrast was extremely obvious and it felt as though they were watching a movie. The bear was already dead, but Lu Shu noticed something strange when he saw the neck of the bear. It looked as though it was killed after being hit on the neck by someone. A bear had a strong life. Many people thought that the lion was the best at attacking, followed by tiger then leopard. However, they were fooled by fairy tales. A bear was definitely ranked in the top 3 in terms of attacking power. Evolution of creatures were regulated. The Matthew effect was common knowledge. So if the young man was able to defeat the bear so easily, how powerful could he be? Lu Shu frowned. He could not tell the power waves from the young man. What was happening? Where did this powerful individual come from? Why was he omitted from the reports of the Heavenly Network? Lu Shu was wondering if he was a creature that evolved into a human. However, he was wearing clothes. There were cases where creatures evolved to become man. Although Little Fury was not capable of doing that and the herd of cows did not evolve, Hai Gongzi had done it. Lu Shu had yet to figure out the conditions needed for creatures to evolve into humans. Or could it be by choice? The young man threw the bear onto the ground and smiled at the people around the bonfire who were staring blankly at him. Why aren't you welcoming me? I brought a welcome gift for you. Lu Shu did not speak. He was speaking fluent Mandarin. How did he not meet him in China? Was he a foreign Chinese or a creature from the remains? He could not put a finger on it and could only wait for the young man to reveal other clues.
What does it mean to be happy? 'Cause it looks like we all don't know. Glass half full or empty, and we just put them on the show. Try to look to the heavens to tell us things that we better.